Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Okay. Hello, James.
Hello.
Good to see you, my man.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. The moment I saw that documentary, I was like, wow. Let me just be honest off the bat. I loved your first documentary, but when someone says there's a documentary about a crashed UFO and it happened in Brazil, I'm always like, man, people tell stories. You know, I'm like, maybe it was one of those. Like, I didn't think too much of it. When I hear stories, even Roswell, I always go, man, I don't know. It's so hard to know. 1947, you know, I think some shenanigans were going on, but what was it really? And how much of this is just people tell stories, and those stories grow and change over the years, and you know, almost like the story becomes their real memory after a while because they've been doing it for, you know, so many years. But then this one, just right away, the way you captured all the information and the evidence and the eyewitness accounts, the photographs that people got, the depictions of the actual being, the fact that there was live beings. This is and everyone that didn't even know each other having these like really similar stories about what they saw. And when people got a hold of the wreckage, like when you first started making this documentary, did you have any apprehension like, oh, this one, how do I sell a documentary on a crashed UFO? Like, what's the best way to put this together? Because that's part of the art of what you do, right?
You were skeptical. Let me tell you how skeptical I was. Okay? So I was making my second documentary on UFOs in the late 90s. I just finished a documentary called UFOs, 50 Years of Denial. I started on my second film. It was 1999. And I partner up with a couple of guys. Boris Zuboff has been a partner. I'm still working with him today. And this guy, Tim Coleman, who's a British reporter. And we like mapping out the film concept, like, hey, we should cover this case and we should do that. And he's like, hey, mate, we got to do this amazing UFO crash in Brazil with these aliens. We're walking around the town. And I looked at the guy and I thought, I think I picked the wrong partner. This guy's fucking batshit crazy. And literally, I dismissed it on the spot. And I refused to even read one word about it. I said, there's no way in hell that happened and the whole world doesn't know about it.
Right.
So I have to remind your audience, I was making my second documentary.
On UFOs.
On UFOs. And I dismissed it. Like this. Like, how fast can you say howdy doody?
It just always seems like if someone's telling you about something like that, like you would have heard about it.
Absolutely. I can't tell you, Joe, how quickly I dismissed it. And I didn't look into it till 2011. Okay, so here's what happened. I get invited by this guy, AJ Javard, to a place called Peruíbe in Brazil. And I'm speaking at a conference about a film I did called I Know What I Saw. And this guy calls me, Jeff Sagansky, who's very high up on the food chain in the entertainment industry. He's been kind of like my mentor and opening doors for me over the years. And I've asked him over a period of time, like, why are you so kind to me? He's a very wealthy guy in New York. And he goes, you know, Jackie Gleason told me one time that these things were real. Don't listen to anybody else. I know for a fact. And so when I saw you as an independent, struggling young filmmaker, I always wanted to lend a helping hand. And by the way, you're going to Brazil, you got to look into that Varginha case. And I thought, oh, God, not this again, right? Swear to God. So I was like, well, I had a lot of respect for Jeff Sagansky. I mean, you can look him up. The guy's very famous. I mean, he's big time. And I said, oh, yeah, sure, Jeff, I'll look into that for you while I'm in Brazil. And just to be nice, right? But in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm not wasting 1 second on that stupid case. Like, seriously, I'm telling you, honest to God truth. And it was 2011. So I go to Brazil with no intention of looking into it. Zero, okay? I wasn't even going to ask one question. And it just so happens that nuclear physicist and UFO researcher Stanton Friedman, rest in peace, and he is there at the conference. And somehow the case gets brought up. It wasn't about that case, but it gets brought up. And he's like, oh, yeah, I was in Brazil when that went down. And he's one of the smarter guys. Stanton Friedman,
yeah, he
is not an idiot. I mean, he's one of the reasons why him and Don Schmidt and Kevin Randall are one of the reasons why we're even talking about Roswell. And he's like, oh, yeah, I was here when that happened. I met some of the witnesses. So then that kind of piqued my interest. I was like, oh,